and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so excited that you are here, and I hope that you are having an absolutely fantastic morning, afternoon, or night, whatever it may be for you when this video finally reaches you. Today's video is one that I am so interested to dive into with you guys. The moment that I heard about what's been going on, I was transported back to a couple of years ago when this was an entire frenzy, and I just knew that we had to sit down and talk about it. As I'm sure you could tell by today's title, these clowns and these clown sightings have returned, which is absolutely terrifying, especially for people with absolute fears of clowns, such as my mother. But honestly, I think it's just terrifying as a whole, and this time it seems to be even darker considering they're traveling in groups. I don't know if you guys remember, I'm sure you do, everybody was made aware of it, but a couple of years ago there was an entire frenzy where clowns are being sighted all across America, all across many places actually, but more so individually. People would see individual clowns in forests, in parking lots, in abandoned spaces, and a lot of people were being chased away by said clowns. These videos were going viral on all platforms of social media. Now, I think the following year, there were a couple of clown sightings, but it seemed to have died down. And then the years following, I don't even remember exactly what year this all began, but it seemed as though things were just regular Halloween shenanigans. Well, this year, there have been multiple sightings of groups and clusters of clowns in secluded spaces, and these people feel as though there is something dark at hand here. So let's talk about clowns as a whole for a second. I mean, for me personally, I've never particularly liked clowns, but I've never had an inherent fear of them. Like, I've never been a child or a person who can't look at a clown. I used to go up and get my balloons when I would see clowns, but there was always something unsettling to do with a clown. I actually don't even know. Comment down below what you guys think it is about clowns that really off-puts people. It could be the sad-looking faces or things of the sorts, but my mom has had a fear of clowns since she was a little girl. I know that that is a very real fear. Now, what I always find interesting about the time of Halloween is it seems as though it's a time of year where pretty much anybody can get away with dressing up as something dark, dressing up as something creepy, scaring people in the fun and in the nature of Halloween. So on one hand, there are many people who believe these sightings are just all in the fun spirit of Halloween, but on the other, there are people who have had these experiences that feel as though something very dark is happening. In one particular encounter, a college student was leaving a party rather intoxicated and was walking home by himself. He said that the way that he would normally go home was on main roads, kind of main streets, and on the sidewalk. But on this particular night, he was growing increasingly worried with his increasing intoxication. He felt every minute that was going on was another minute he was becoming more and more intoxicated, and because he was walking home himself, he was concerned in taking this long route. Now, he had been made aware from some of his buddies about a route he could take through a forest that would cut him towards his dormitory much quicker than the main road, So on this particular night, he decided to cut through the forest despite having never walked through this forest before and head to his dormitory. Now, he said that when he first entered the forest, it was relatively lit for it being so late at night. He said that the moon and the stars were so bright that he could see where he was walking in the forest, and he could see all of the paths and the different trees. Now, his buddies had told him that there were 3 separate paths that he would reach when he got to the end of the road, and to follow the one on the left to head towards the dormitories, that would kind of take him exactly where he needed to go. So he set out on his way. Very quickly, he was reaching the end of the path, and as he was about to turn down the left path, he heard what sounded like a whistle that echoed through the forest. He stopped and listened to see if he could hear it again, as he had been the only one that he'd seen walking through the forest, and sure enough, he once again heard this whistle, but this time he heard where the whistle was coming from. It was coming to the right of him. When he turned to look, he saw clear as day, despite his intoxication, a clown standing in the center of the paths, just standing there and staring at him. He said that he kind of couldn't believe his eyes. He didn't know if it was the drinks playing tricks on him or if he was truly seeing what he was seeing. And that was when the clown tilted its head, looked at him, and started letting out this like evil, sinister laugh. He said despite being out of his mind, he decided to run as fast as he could, and this laugh followed him almost as though the clown was following him out of the forest. Now, when he reached the end of the forest and could see the lights of the dormitories, he turned around to look back, and that was when he saw not one, not two, but about 10 clowns emerging from the woods, laughing, walking towards him. He said it was almost as if he sobered up like that, and he ran towards the dorms and locked himself inside of his room, and the next day even questioned his sanity until those on campus started talking about the fact that clowns were popping up, but in groups. There was rumors going around as to whether or not it was a group of students on the campus trying to, scare one another in the spirit of Halloween. But many people started to believe that it was something much darker when teachers started warning students about going into the forest at night and going anywhere alone. In another instance, a woman was driving home from a late night shift when she made a wrong turn down what seemed to be a dirt road surrounded by forestry. She said that she started driving down the road hoping that she would reach the end of it and reach another main street, be able to kind of find her way back. But to her surprise, she would stop in the middle of the road, seeing at first what she thought was a person perhaps in need, but realizing quickly it was a clown standing in the middle of the road. Now, this clown appeared to have red all over it and was looking at her in a way not as if it needed distress, but as if it had some sort of mission on its mind. She said that she locked her car door and sat there debating whether she went around it or was to reverse, as she had just passed another side street. It wasn't a main street, which was why she didn't turn down it, but it was another side street. And as she was sitting there, more and more of them began emerging out of the woods. Again, like the first story, laughing in an evil, sinister way, tilting their heads and swinging things around. At this point, they started walking in unison towards her vehicle in a very threatening manner, and she decided to throw the car in reverse, speed backwards as fast as possible, and head down the other dirt lane. Now, what their intentions were, or whether or not it was some sort of prank, she doesn't know, but either way, she said that the gut feeling that she had was that it wasn't a prank and that something very dark and evil was about to transpire. And then there's the experience of a teenager who was babysitting her 6-year-old neighbor. Now, she was set to babysit her neighbor until about 10-11 p.m. as the parents were out on date night. She said that she put the little girl to bed, made a bowl of popcorn, and sat down on the couch to watch some TV and text with some of her friends. That was when she heard the Ring doorbell ring, and then followed by banging on the door. At this point, she was very uncomfortable because the parents had said they weren't expecting anybody to be coming, and that she actually wasn't meant to answer the door for anybody or let anybody in. She ended up sitting in the living room when she would hear calling out from outside, "I know you're in there. Answer the door." Now, the girl thought that if she just ignored them, they would perhaps go away, that this was probably just some teenagers playing tricks or someone who may have the wrong house. So she decided to sit in the living room and not move a muscle. So that at this point, they started yelling in that they were there to talk about an upcoming party that they were throwing, and that it was extra important she answered the door because they needed to talk about it urgently in order to reserve and keep their spot. Now, the girl had no idea what they were talking about, considering it was about 9 o'clock at night at this point in time, and she hadn't been made aware of any sort of party or anybody that she should be expecting. So again, she just sat there. So the banging on the door continued on for about 15 to 20 minutes, followed by this cackling laugh. So that then everything kind of went silent. They seemed to have went away, but she felt sick to her stomach until the parents returned. When the parents returned to the house, the girl decided to tell them what she'd experienced and what had went on when they were away. The parents were extremely concerned because there was no upcoming party. Their child's birthday party had passed months before, and there was nobody else that they would know who would have wanted a party. So they decided to check their Ring cameras. Upon checking their Ring cameras, they would see what horror films are made of. On the Ring camera, there was a very creepy, sad-looking clown banging on the door and saying that they were there to discuss some sort of party. Now, again, they saw everything that she had described to the clown standing there, banging on the door, saying they knew she was there, saying the party spiel, and then the cackling. But as the clown went to leave, out of the bushes, around by the garage, and behind the neighbors' cars, multiple other clowns emerged, and they all walked away cackling and laughing together. But these aren't the only reported sightings. There are many people claiming that they're seeing these clowns, not always with the laughter and not always with the chasing, but just seeing them places, groups of them, just staring people down, tilting their heads, smiling and smirking sinisterly. So is this some sort of prank that's going on in the spirit of Halloween? Or are the killer clowns back? Is this gonna be something that people are fearing and watching out for leading up to the end of October? I don't know. All I know is that if I was in the middle of a forest or driving up a deserted road or alone in a house and a group of clowns came, even if they weren't laughing sinisterly or creeping me out with what they were saying, that in and of itself would be enough to throw me for a loop. But I would love to know what you guys think. I kind of felt like it was a matter of time with everything that happened a couple of years ago and the craze of the clowns everywhere, the killer clowns, as people were calling them, that eventually people would catch again, or they would catch again with people and they would make some spooky thing about it. So I'm hoping that it's just people in the fun of Halloween trying to freak people out. But either way, they should be very, very careful because they may come across the wrong person and they may fight back. You never know who you're gonna run into when you're doing pranks of that sort. But I would love to know what you guys think. Do you think this is some sort of Halloween prank or Halloween fun? Or do you think there's something darker going on? Those who have experienced it claim that they don't think it was a joke. They claim that their gut feelings and the way that they felt in the moment was very telling to them that this may be something much darker. But I would love to know your thoughts and comments down in the comment section below. And while you're commenting, let me know, do you have a fear of clowns or do you love clowns? I would love to hear your opinion on clowns in the comment section. And that is it for today's video. If you guys are new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed but you enjoy my content, I would absolutely love it if you would go ahead and click that subscribe button. And please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness. And until tomorrow, I love you. Bye, guys.